Hello everyone, my name is Saul Pud, and this is Advanced Python Lesson 4. So goals for today, we're going to be learning about classes. So, let's say we're creating a website and we want to show our users some cars. Like for example, let's say we got a color, it's red, brand is an Audi, and model is an RA. Well, if we put the drive, which is a method that prints, vroom, I am Audi R8. Or if you want something else, you can change those types and write a method that prints, vroom, I'm a Toyota Corolla. Well, making all these variables is quite hard. So let's make a car template which we call a class. So, class car, color, brand, and model. And first thing we'll learn about is init. It is a special method to initialize the attributes drive parentheses attributes, and then the drive parentheses hashing method that prints a statement specific to brand and model. So classes. So class is a template to create objects. So each object is a copy of the template. So it stores variables and functions together. So it's kind of like making a template that can be built upon quite flexibly. In a class, we call these variables attributes, and the functions are called methods. Making all these variables is hard. So let's make Alright, so looking back, making all these variables is hard. So let's make a car template which we call class. So the attributes is color, brand, and model. These are attributes that you would associate when identifying a vehicle. And then the method is the init. This is called the constructor. As we remember, init is a special method used to initialize the attributes. Here's another example of methods called drive parentheses. Now here's a big question. Can you describe me what a class is and how it's useful? Just take a second to think about that. Alright, now continuing on. Now let's also think about how classes can be used in our big project, the Wheel of Fortune. So take a moment to think about that as well. Alright, continuing on. So now let's learn how do you exactly code a class. Well, let's start with the class header for car class. So to tell Python that there will be a class, we should use the class keyword. On the first line, type in class car and make sure to follow on as we develop this on Trinket.io if you want. If not, that's okay, but I recommend for a more interactive experience, please follow on Trinket.io. Alright. So the first thing is class car. So type that in. Alright, continuing on. Next, initialization. So now we need to use init. So it's a special function that we call to make a new object from the class. The return of the function is the object itself. So make sure to follow on Trinket.io. Please ignore REPL.it. It's Trinket. It's Trinket.io. Alright. And as you can see, our init function can have the parameters like any normal function. But you have to put the variable self at the start, which represents the object to be created. So class car, and then def init self, brand, and color. The self is required in this initiation function and represents the object that's essentially going to be created. And the parameters are brand and color, which are called, as you should remember, attributes. Alright, now here's a question. What parameter is always needed in the initiation method? What is the first line to type in writing a class? And also think about what is the syntax of the init function. Take a moment to think about that. Pause the video. Alright, now let's continue on. So, inside the initiation function, we usually use parameters to define the object's attributes. To access the object's attributes, we use self.attribute_name. So as you take here, class car, and we have our defining function, and we got self.brand is equal to brand, and self.color is equal to color. Self, well, once again, means the object itself. You should remember this. And here we are setting the attribute to the parameter of the function. So So if you have any questions, once again, we have office hours. So if you need it, come to office hours, please. We'll go over when that is at the end of this video. So this is what your code should look like so far. So make sure it looks like this. All right, let's continue. So let's make a function in the class. Let's say we want to return a description of our car since we have variables for the color and the brand. Like the init function, we always have to have self at the beginning of a function. So as you can see here, we have self, and we also have a return. I'm going to drive my plus self.color plus space plus self.brand. So now with this, you have completed the car class. Now we need to make an instance of the car object. This means we need to use the car class or template we coded and create a copy of it or object. So C is equal to car Mercedes yellow. Here we store the car object in the variable called C. Print C.return description parentheses. The second line essentially calls return description method we wrote earlier and prints it with the color and brand attributes. Note, we do not have to include a parameter for self. Here's a question to think about. How do you create a new object corresponding to a class? Let's say the class is food and the parameter values are type of food. Take a moment, pause the video and take a moment to think about that. Alright, now let's continue. Adding self to the function parameters. So, def return description self, and then we got return, I'm going to draw my self.color plus self.brand. Remember that self is always included, so we access our attributes and methods of the object. Remember, when we call the method, we don't have to put anything for the self param. Python does this for us. Alright, so this is what the completed code should be looking like. So when you have this, so C is equal to car, and then you got Mercedes, comma yellow, and I got C.return description. So therefore it's going to print out, I'm going to drive my yellow Mercedes. So if I have any questions, come to office hours. Now let's go over an activity. With the car class that you already have in Trinket, make it so the description changes to my brand is color. An extra thing, if you have extra time, add another attribute of model to the car class by adding a parameter to the init function. Don't forget self.model equals model. With this new attribute, change the return description function so that the new attribute is included to the description. Let's pause the video and take a moment to try that. Alright, let's move on. So here's what the answer should be. So as you can see here, we essentially changed the attributes in the car in parentheses, and we were able to change it overall. So yeah, and the extra thing here is essentially if you wanted to maybe add another part like self.model, you should add at the end and then the according model. So Jeep Red Wrangler. So I'm going to drive my red Jeep Wrangler. Alright. Here's a little picture of one. Alright, now let's do a second activity. Make another instance of the car class. Use any car brand, color, and model of your choice. Then make another function in the car class that checks if the color is orange. Return true if yes and false if not. Make the new instance of the class. Make it the new instance class. Call this new function and print out the return value. And challenge in the function, make a list of colors and make the computer pick a random one to check for in the if statement. Pause the video and try that out. Alright, let's move on. So here's what the answer should be. So as you see, you got new car Audi orange Q7, and you got color check, and you also got the if statement, and it should return true if it's orange. We got a little extra answer here. We have a list of colors, and you can see we use the import random function that we learned earlier in the advanced course in order to randomly pick a color. Remember, do not forget import random. And yeah, so changing instance attributes. So there is an easy way to change an attribute of an instance of a class outside of its class. After making the instance, you can do parentheses syntax colon instance name dot attribute name equals something different. So an example for the car class. So new car dot color equals to silver. So that's another way you can do it. Let's see this in the code. As you can see, we got new car.color black, and if you see the color check, it should return false, and then it should return true. Alright, now let's continue. Last activity for the day. Outside of the car class, make a list of different colors. Use a loop to go through the list. In the loop, change the color of your car instance. And finally, in the for loop, call and print the function that returns the description of the car. Pause the video and try that out. Alright, let's continue. So this is what it should look like. So take a moment to compare. You see I represents each color. A new car dot color equals I changes the color of the new car to each color in the list. Alright, if there's any questions, please attend office hours. And now for the Wheel of Fortune project, you should be using a class called Wheel, and essentially you have init, make circle, make sectors, and pick sector. So we're just using a class to keep all the turtle functions in one place. So get started on it if you have any extra time. Once again, in the next class, you will get in-class time to work on it. And yeah, so today, y'all learned how to make classes and all different components to a class. You made your own car class and probably learned new car brands and some models. Alright then. So as a reminder, we do have office hours. If you have any questions regarding any of the material, please do come to office hours from Tuesday to Sunday at 4:15 to 5:15 p.m. PST. And this is the meeting link, so take a screenshot of this or any picture. And if you need it, please do come. Thank you.